Hello, everybody. Happy December 23rd, Christmas Eve to the Christmas Eve. My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is a special edition of the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. The Connecticut players, but players from the past as far as the high school level in 2020. And I'm pleased to have two fine young men here who are at their respective colleges that just finished their first semesters. I'll start off with a former Lyman Hall quarterback, now at WestCon, Sean Pragano. Sean, great to have you on.
Thank you. Nice to be on the show.
And back again for a second time. He was on when this podcast was first starting. Malachi Gatison, he was at Naugatuck. Now he's at UNH. Malachi, thanks so much for being able to come back again.
Thank you as well. It's nice to be back.
You know, guys, I think first and foremost, hope everyone's well with you and your family. We got through almost 2020, and you guys look pretty good. So far as with what COVID's done to everybody. The reason why I have you guys on is because you look at what COVID has done as far as at the college ranks with games being canceled, postponed, and schools closing, etc. And I kind of just want to have you guys on to be able to talk about your experiences during your first semester during this pandemic. And I'll go to Malachi first. Kind of take me into the beginning of the school year with your freshman year.
So going into freshman year, it was very, I guess you could say, a rocky, I guess, of trying to figure out what we can do, what we can't do as a team, and like trying to get together as a team instead of like outside of football and making sure that we stick together. It helped us develop more of a relationship wise as friends before we even like as freshmen wise, and also with upperclassmen being able to hang out with them as well. So, but it was harder for like players that decided to stay home instead of coming to campus this semester, because there was a bunch of kids that decided to stay home or wanted to take this semester off and go do like community college and come try to go back this way so that they could save some money. But it's like, I guess you could say it kind of splits up everything, but also allows different players to develop a relationship with each other.
You know, when I think about, when I was a freshman and going into playing baseball in college, there were so many things. This was before COVID, thinking about kind of, worrying about class and trying to, get connections with your professors and teacher, so on and so forth. But I would think this COVID situation must have created such an anxiety for you because you were just trying to get your feet wet during your first semester in college.
Absolutely. I could say like in my experience that it was harder for, I guess, like sociology and a couple different other classes of like trying to communicate with the teachers, because even though their emails are getting hit up every day by other students, so it's hard for them to try to answer me back during the same time frame, and also trying to schedule meetings, and then plus technology difficulties. So like it was hard during like Zoom classes where like the teacher wouldn't know what to do, or like say like we recorded class and they didn't know how to give out the password to be able to like send it to us, because there was a lot of leeway that the teachers gave us because they know of these difficulties, and then plus like being home or like being quarantined because of COVID, they know that they have to give extra time to us. So it was just hard I know it was hard for me because I'm a commuter, and at one point New Haven commuters had to stay home, they weren't allowed on campus. So I had to figure out a way to like catch up in class while also being able to finish all the work that I missed.
Sean, could you kind of share that same sentiment as far as the beginning of your freshman year? Because I can only imagine kind of how it was. Because I know for each student it's different and they handle things differently, but I can only imagine how it was for you.
So at the beginning of our semester, we're in Danbury. So Danbury had a little bit of a spike. And so we were delayed, I think, a week, and then we were delayed 2 to 3 weeks. So the first part of our semester, like the first 3.5 weeks, we did at home. Everything was all online. And then they let us in around like the second week in September. And it was tough, like transitioning, because like we're just freshmen, and it's like you don't really know what to expect going into your freshman year of college. Like everybody's like, you're going to get a lot of work. And then like on top of COVID, it's like, and living on campus, it makes it even harder because you don't really know like what the ropes are like in college. And then to experience it with COVID, it made it even harder.
I would almost seem like, and I'll stay with Sean here, not to say that football was put on the back burner, but I almost feel like because of everything that was going on, not knowing about a season in the beginning and, just thinking about the classwork and just trying to get yourself acclimated, because the one thing is you have to make sure that you're doing your schoolwork, because at some point football will be back. There are games that will have
Mhm.
to be played and you have to stay eligible. So for you, how did you kind of, stay on that lane of, okay, I want to play, football and I want to play, but at the same time, I got to focus on school as well.
Well, college, you're on your own. Like you don't have, like in high school, you don't have teachers you see every day pushing you. And college, your professors, like they're not on you like how your teachers would be in high school. So you have to be disciplined, and you have to since you're paying for school, you have to have the will to want to do good. Like you don't want to be paying whatever dollar amount per semester and then just have like not so good grades. Like you have to have the motivation to want to be the best in your class and to want to create, because the better the grades, the better opportunities you'll get down the line that you'll create for yourself. You never know what could come your way, so you just gotta just be motivated is what I did.
If I know one thing about the coaches in Connecticut, I think is that, and I'm talking about the football coaches in particular, I feel like they really kind of helped a lot of the young men as far as being able to prepare them for the next level, either school or football or both. And I'll go to Malachi here. I almost feel like, talking to Coach Salazzo, as I did many times, former Naugatuck, who people don't know, Dave Salazzo. Now he's enjoying his time off. And now Coach Ali, who at least for the time being, has not had an opportunity to be able to coach for Naugatuck. I hope he does as far as 11 on 11 is concerned in the next couple months. But as I said, I'll stay with Malachi here. How was it for you as far as the academic side, trying to make sure that you stayed on point?
Um, I personally didn't really struggle as much, I guess you could say, but that's mainly because like of my support system with my parents and everything like that, and then also like our coach making sure that all the players like stay on the grades. Like every week he would come in with a whole nother list of like other players that are not like meeting the task, because like he would say like we're Nagy football players, what one brother does wrong, all of us are doing wrong. So we had to stay up on it. So like that helped a lot as far as like coaching wise, and then also like having that support system at home.
And I'll stay with Malachi here again. I want to go now to the on the field stuff. Now, again, before COVID, you're thinking about, okay, I'm trying to make sure that I don't do anything wrong in front of the coaches. I want to make sure I don't do anything wrong, especially in front of the players, because the players police themselves, at least from what I've read and talked to amongst a lot of football programs. So, how was it? I mean, I know Malachi, you mentioned about how some players didn't come back because they wanted to stay at home or they wanted to go to the JUCO, community college, etc. So how was it for you at that time?
It was very difficult because I was in the same boat of like having to pay for college and like trying to figure out what's best for my family, and what's also best for me, like carrying on with football as well. Um, so I ended up choosing to go to campus, which was the best decision for me, as I was able to like showcase my talents while also being able to like show that I want to be with the program. So that was like showing good faith, basically. So that was good, and it just, I guess, like it gives you a better opportunity when you're on campus and being able to be around other teammates and developing that type of relationship, because if you don't have a relationship with the teammates, it's going to be harder for you to actually like fit in, I guess you could say, because it's like, even though it's like with every other team, there's also those like inner circles type stuff. So you got to figure out where you're going to fit in, and like and try to find those like teammates that you could like trust and everything like that, because there's going to be times when you're going to need somebody to rely on, say like you can't be there for a practice or something like that, or you need to stay at somebody's dorm or stay over somebody's apartment and stuff like that. Like say like in the summer, like we all trying to be together during the summer so that we could actually go into the fall season being like tremendous. So I need to figure out who I would be able to rely on. You know what I mean?
Sean, same question for you.
Could you repeat the question?
The question was, as far as kind of looking at the landscape of, you're going into your freshman year with football and there's a lot of questions, just in, as with anything, but now you add in COVID. How was it dealing with the coaches and the players?
Well, the coaches at WestCon, they're great. They're great people, all of them, from Coach Loth, who's the head coach, all the way down to the strength coach, Coach Lago. Like they're all great. They tried to make it as easy as possible for us, like by putting us in like pods and stuff like that, and mixing the older guys and into practice with like the younger guys in like the same groups and stuff. But it was hard because Danbury is right next to New York, and there was a spike, and a ton of New York residents, they travel into Danbury for work and stuff like that, and so we kind of had to be more on top of like what we could do and what we couldn't do. But yeah, it was the coaches made it easy, but it was just tough because a lot of guys that are on the WestCon team are from New York City, Long Island, New Jersey. So it was kind of tough getting to like meet everybody because not everybody came to school. But the coaches, they made it as easy as possible for who came to school and stuff like that.
And I'll stay with Sean here again. You know, looking at just the protocols that I saw at the high school level, as far as what they did, I know you mentioned the pods, you know, the groups of 3, 4, 5, etc., to make sure that they, if somebody was to test positive, you know, that they could go back and contact trace. What were kind of some of the protocols amongst the WestCom program?
So we had to get everybody had to get tested every once or every 2 weeks. But we had to stay like in our positional pods, so we were never on the field with more than, I want to say, 25 or 30 guys at a time. But obviously, like the defensive linemen were back in one corner, the quarterbacks and the receivers like were in another corner. We had to wear masks, like the new like clear COVID masks that Shutt made on our helmets. We had to wear those, which any football player knows it's hard to breathe with a football helmet as it is. You add those clear masks, it makes it harder. But if it's going to help us, you know, be able to play, then we'll wear them. We also had to wear a mask everywhere. Like even if we took our helmet off, we had to have a mask on over our nose. Social distance at all times, like on the field, off the field. So I mean, it was definitely different, like from like how it is when it's normal. But the COVID protocols definitely kind of took a toll on some guys. We had to fill out a sportswear app every day. The sportswear, all college athletes should know what that is. We had to fill in. We had to take our temperature before we went to practice, and we had to fill out if we had any symptoms. And if you had any symptoms, then you had to get tested. And if you tested positive, you had to go quarantine. You can quarantine on campus or at home, but those were mainly all the protocols. But the most important one was doing the sportswear every day, filling out your temperature, and if you had any symptoms or not.
Now, you talk about kind of the protocols and everything that went about, and it sounds like there was a lot, Sean. And I'll stay with you again for one last question here on this. I almost feel like, you know, thinking about what was normal daily life, you know, I'll go back to high school. You wake up, breakfast, go to class, go to practice, play a game on Friday or Saturday, and then it's, you know, wash, rinse, repeat, etc., so on and so forth. But I feel like now you add in the protocols part where it's like, okay, you're doing this and you're doing that. And then, you know, as we know with COVID, it's a very fluid situation. Everything's changing. Did it cause that, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is, did it cause like a mental stress on you because you're having to worry about so many things?
I mean, yeah. Just because, I mean, the COVID tests come back within 3 days, or 72 hours, I think it was. And it was just so stressful every time having to get tested because you didn't know, like, because you could be asymptomatic and have it. And like sometimes, like I was just like getting tested, it was tough because if you test positive, you obviously have to miss practice. And especially as a quarterback, I'd never want to miss practice. So, I mean, it was stressful, the getting tested, but other than that, like the other stuff, like the filling out the sportswear app and your temperature, that wasn't, though that part of it wasn't stressful, but it was just the part that getting tested and possibly having the missing practice and stuff. That part was like, took a toll on some people. It took a toll on me, but we were able to fight through it. It wasn't really like that bad because we obviously had to social distance and follow COVID guidelines and stuff. So most of us, we were all right.
Malachi, what was some of the stuff as far as at UNH What kind of protocols were you guys doing down there in New Haven?
We had to stay 6 feet apart, obviously, a lot, as well as keeping our mask on, even while weightlifting and everything like that. Staying on the field, we had to keep our mask on, so it was just hard to like being able to work out to your like full potential, uh, and like showcase what your talents are, so you could impress the coaches. And while at the same time you're about to pass out from the mask being on your face and you can't breathe. But also like I was saying, like hanging out with like teammates and stuff like that, it was hard to like get together without like causing, I guess you could say, a disruption within the process because you get in trouble if, for like large groupings and stuff like that. So it was hard to like try to get each other together. Like say we wanted to practice outside of practice, because sometimes we would want to run like 7-on-7s or just something fun to do together. It was hard to do that because someone would say something and that would go to the authorities and then coaches would have to shut it down. So it was a lot of just like a lot of things that you could have done before you can't do now. So it just shut down a lot.
Was there anything, as I asked Sean about the mental toll and strain as well, was there anything as far as to you, either with the protocols? I know you just mentioned as far as just trying to get some sort of normalcy and just, hang out with your college football friends, your teammates, your brothers, and just have a practice. Before COVID, that was welcomed more often than not. Now it's like you can't do that. And did it cause a stress for you?
Yeah, I believe it caused a lot of stress, as in like just trying to find any like I guess you could say like slither of room to like fit in some type of normalcy, like you were saying, to like um it was just really hard to be honest. And then like also like academic wise, like just trying to figure out everything like with grades, and then also like trying to figure everything with football. On top of that, trying to like the COVID stresses at home as well, of like different people that could get it. Also like your mom and stuff, because like say like one of the people that live in my house, they get COVID, I'm gonna be stuck out of football and school, and that also like sets me back for football and grade wise. I would have to make up all that work, and then also have to make up like football wise at home. So like it's a lot of like responsibility left on us to like try to develop our bodies and stuff like that. But they also give you like what is it called, a workout plan. So we have that, and then plus also with me being injured and stuff like that, it didn't really help a lot.
It's one of those things where, I've heard people make the argument about, oh, whoever wins the NFL Super Bowl, whoever wins the Super Bowl. Well, it's an asterisk because it doesn't count. I don't know why. They said the same thing about the NBA. I've heard about the MLB, Major League Baseball with the World Series. I think it's blasphemy because, guys, when you think about it, to be able to win the way that the Lakers did and the Dodgers during COVID, I feel like that should be amongst the top. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because I think, and I'll stay with Malachi first here. I think what has gone on, I mean, I'm sure you guys talked to your former teammates at the high school level, both at Lyman Hall and also at Naugatuck. I almost feel like what is going on right now has, and I don't want to say you guys weren't mature. I know Malachi, I've known you for a couple years now, very mature young man. And Sean, same thing for you. I've heard a lot of good things about you as well. I feel like, and again, I'll stay with Malachi here first. I feel like this is kind of accelerate, pushed forward maybe a little bit faster the maturation process for you.
Absolutely. I feel like it's a way of like making us grow up faster, I guess you could say, and take on more responsibility, especially like the seniors that are going to be freshmen in college next year. A lot of them got to like, because they're not in school as much, or there's more online, so they're not even able to get with their guidance counselors to figure out like how to sign up for college, how to do like apply for college, I meant, and like what they should say, what they shouldn't say, like to coaches and stuff like that. They don't have that type of support system like they should when I was applying for college. So like I see myself right now getting like DMs or texts from past players of like, what should I do? What should I do this? What should I do here? And I'm just trying to help as much as I can because I know how much I wanted it.
Sean, same question for you before your head gets a little bit bigger because I gave you a compliment.
Um, yeah, I mean, I feel bad for all the seniors at Lyman Hall. I know how bad some of them want to play college football. And for last year, when I was in my recruitment process, when all the coaches were able to come to school and like actually like talk to them and meet them in person, like it was great because I got to get a feel for like coaches and their demeanors about their programs. And for, so, some of the seniors who are looking to play college football now, it makes it tough because, colleges aren't allowed to have people on campus, especially with some of the NCAA rules. I know Division I and Division II, they're still not letting like official visits on campus happen yet. So I could only imagine like what the Division III level, what they're letting those coaches do. But I try to text them, and like Malachi said, and try and help like them through DM on like what they should be asking, what they should be doing, because I wish, I had somebody older than me help me and through the recruitment process and some of that kind of stuff, and applying to schools and things you should ask, your academic advisor, and like who, like, you know what I mean? So I try to help them out as much as I can. So
If there's anything that COVID has done, and I've mentioned this on various podcast episodes before, and there's been a lot of bad, trust me, there's a lot of bad, but I think to look at the silver lining here, I know it's hard, but it's close to the holidays, so let's give it a whack. I think COVID has, and we mentioned one already, as far as the maturation and maturing of high school, college, et cetera, and really kind of putting people who maybe were like, you know what, I'm just going to relax and take it easy. Well, COVID struck. Now you really kind of have to man up a little bit, or woman up. But, and I'll stay with Sean here. I think the fact of this COVID situation, I should say, I think, in ways like you mentioned, as far as being there for your teammates, and I'm not saying you wouldn't be before, but do you think this COVID situation has kind of maybe opened your eyes a little bit to stuff maybe you took for granted, like you mentioned, as far as the recruitment process last year?
I mean, yeah, just a lot of things, that, I kind of took for granted, like pre-COVID, like being able to go out every day, like, and like see your friends, and just kind of like just being able to like work out and like have fun and be with them, and like it's just things that you would never expect to happened. You know what I mean? Like you kind of have to um, think positive, and you kind of have to just try to make the best of every moment, because you never know when it could be taken away. Like all the seniors now, like they're complaining about them losing everything, but everything, at least they could plan for their stuff. Everything, I'm sure Malachi can say the same, everything just got ripped away from us. I feel bad for all the seniors, trust me, like my heart goes out to them, but for us it was really bad. Like we lost like the whole second half to our senior years, everything, prom, like everything that is kind of the senior experience we lost. And I think we all kind of took it for granted, that I think that every high school student now shouldn't take for granted.
Malachi?
I feel the same way. I was thinking the same thing about like our whole second half to our senior year was taken away. And it was hard to do it. I know for me it was because like I was looking forward to grad night and being able to spend that last like moment with every one of your friends, because they're all leaving. They're all going to different colleges around this. Like I know kids that went all the way to Florida, California, you know what I mean? So it was hard like seeing all your friends be like basically disappear, besides like seeing each other on social media as well. And then also like it's like COVID really made kids have to, like how you said, man up or woman up, because I've seen a lot of like younger kids as well, like it, like speaking my like my little sister, like she's taking on more responsibility of like making sure she gets up on time and stuff like that, and being able to go to her classes. So it made everyone like have to step up their game wise, as being able to support yourself, be an individual, and stop relying on others, I guess you could say.
It's, again, to go back to what I said, I think hopefully with the vaccine and with everything, and again, I saw a couple of days ago about a new strain in the UK, and it's like we take one step forward and it's potentially three steps back. But I'm just hoping that between the vaccine and everything, that things could get somewhat normal, at least in the fall by then, just because in that way you guys will have an opportunity to be able to play football clean, collective, and such, and not have to deal with so much of the stresses that you did during your first semester. And I'll stay with Malachi here again. Now going into potentially the second semester, is there a concern that because of, and I know Danbury as well has been affected, what was it, like over 98% of Connecticut as far as districts are in the red. something like that.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. But, and like I said, I'll go to Malachi first here. Do you feel like your second semester may be, again, a full-on question mark? You don't know if you're going to be at school as far as in person, or if you're just going to be what we're doing, behind a computer, doing internet stuff for the rest of the second semester.
Oh, it's absolutely a question mark. A lot of stuff is just up in the air, and we're just trying to figure out which avenue we could take to, like, I know for football, like all they say is like this is what the date they gave us, so this is what we're gonna run with until something change. But at any moment, um, anything could change, just like Corona. We got a new strain, and I know her today. I believe they said we have a new strain in Africa, so they don't even know how. They have to do more research on vaccines and like whether the vaccine will actually help or not. So like a lot of stuff is just up in the air instead of being how we're used to, just like, oh, we're going to start on this date and we're just going to put in the work now. You know what I mean? Same thing in academics. Like they would say, this is the date where we're going to have this assignment due, but then they have to push it a week later, or push it a week early just to fit their academic calendar.
Sean, same question.
Westcon academically, we were all of my professors were pretty much like on schedule, like because most of our classes were online. I only had 2 classes in person, but most of my professors, they were all really good about staying on schedule, and they were really lenient with it. But it does leave a big question mark. I like to think very in a positive way about like what could happen. Like I don't want to think negative and be like, oh, like we're not going to be able to go, we're not going to be able to do anything. Like I like to think very positive and be like, we're going to have a spring season, we're going to be able to go, like it's going to be somewhat normal, like the freshman college experience that we should be getting. Like we could get maybe half of it. Like that's how I like to think. But there is a very big question mark, especially with President-elect Biden coming in. We don't know what he's going to want, like what his plans are with COVID and stuff like that. So it's just a whole big question mark.
Yeah, it's almost like, like I said, we take the steps forward, and then we go back. It's more questions than answers. Answers. It's been like that since March, and I feel like it's going to be like that for a while. But as I said, guys, we're just about run out of time. I think, again, as to come full circle here, I think the positive, if there's going to be anything out of this, it's that there's a lot of people who maybe did not have responsibility that now do. I think there's some like yourselves, both Sean and Malachi, who maybe didn't, not saying that you would not be the leaders as you were at the high school level, but now being able to help out the younger guys, the seniors now who are juniors, the sophomores, so on and so forth. I think being there for them is of the utmost importance, but also kind of shows you like what things could be going forward as you mature more.
Yeah.
But guys, I really do appreciate you coming on. Malachi, thanks so much for being able to come back on again for a second time.
Thank you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being able to come on as well. Hopefully I didn't scare you away and you'll come back on in the future.
No, yeah, I'd definitely be back.
Awesome, guys. But hey, if I don't talk to you guys before then, I hope you and your families have a happy and safe holiday, and also have a great Christmas Eve as well.
Thank you as well. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you. You too.
I'll wrap things up here in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. And remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm on a journey to find them all. Have a good one, everybody, and be well.